Thanks so much for coming on. It is an honor to have someone who is both an artist and like a well-acclaimed artist. From what I can tell, some awesome songs in there, and also like really with your headspace in Web3 and crypto and all of these things, NFTs and stuff like that. So we'd love to rack your brain just for half an hour here if we can.
Of course.
So, okay, my favorite song, went through and listened to a bunch of your songs. My favorite song that you have on there is a song called Ghost. It's so good.
Come
It's
on,
actually
man.
so
Look,
good. I
bro.
added it to my personal album, like my personal playlist. It's so good. I don't know. Is that one of your favorites? Where does that sit for you?
No, so I go deep. I go deep into it. So that's with an artist that I worked with back in the day, and still kind of work with him now, Teflon Sega. And
Mm.
he's like an anonymous artist. He doesn't show his face. He's like
Oh,
he now he lives in the metaverse. But before when we started the whole thing, it was just like kind of like the Gorillas inspired type of thing.
yeah, that's
So
so
the
cool.
first like song that we ever did together was called Sinner, and then we did this song Beretta Lake with St. John and Teflon Sega, and I was just a producer on it. So that sound is like nostalgic for me, that stuff that I do with him. So I like Ghost a lot.
I think clearly your biggest song on there, if we're talking streams wise, is a song called Bam Bam. I noticed
Yeah.
that you'd release it on a couple of albums, and then in 2020, I think it was remixed by a guy named Lucky Luke, who has the song, for those who aren't aware, which goes "Cooler Than Me." So it's like you got your designer shades. That song, like that's a huge song, right? We're talking a big deal, and he remixed your song, right? How did that come about? Like as an independent artist, that's a pretty massive leap to achieve, I suppose, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, they recognize the good song. So I'll be honest, I'll be transparent. So I had this song, right? And I told my boy, I said, bro, we need a remix for this. Like me and Angie, we need something to blow it up. He just said something out of nowhere. He said, okay, I'm gonna get the Russians. And I said, what is the Russians? What are you talking about, bro? Like, what are you talking about? He said, I know this guy named Lucky Luke, and he's, doing some really dope stuff. I said, okay, get the Russians, let's go. But long story short, I found out they're not Russian. They're from Lithuania, and then and then they love the song, and they were like, "Yeah, let's do a remix." So we did like a partnership with those guys, and
Yeah.
yeah, super. Like they really did a dope job on that remix.
No, it's really good to get that kind of level exposure. And one thing that I noticed, so
Yeah.
you've got over 200,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. You've got a
Yeah.
few songs over 3 million streams. Have you kind of leveraged your existing fan base over on Spotify to kind of come over to your NFT projects, or are you going after a completely different, like a new fan base?
Yeah, yeah, I would say it's a new fan base. It's a new fan
Yeah.
base. Like I tried to do that where I was bringing people over from like, Instagram and stuff like that over to what I was doing in Web3, but it was extremely hard. So what I try to do now is just I talk to people who are willing to receive this information,
Yeah.
and then from the people who are over in the Web2 audience, when they naturally want to come over and see what I'm doing, they'll get curious and they'll ask. But like recently with some of these NFT platforms that I've been utilizing, we have kind of been like combining the two, whereas I could be talking to this Web3 audience and dropping this NFT, but then now they're entitled to the Web2 streaming royalties, and that the Web2 streaming and the 3 million 4 million streams, that gives me the clout. And then
Yeah.
it's the buy-in from the Web3 audience, but it's still hard to bring in people who are like streaming the music already over into the NFT stuff that I'm doing.
That's a really interesting distinction. We actually chatted to a guy recently named Dill. I think he goes by Famous Dill,
Yeah, yeah,
and
I know
he's in the
that.
space. And he said the same thing. I guess I wrongly made the assumption that we'll just be like leveraging our current fan base. But what you're saying is so true. It seems to be across the board. It's a whole new fan base. It's a whole new world, which is cool. Just one drop that you were mentioning, actually mentioned to me this week, is one coming out next month on Soundxyz. Now, I had a look. There's not a whole bunch on there about it. Could you talk us through what that is, what that looks like, what people could expect being a part of it?
So I'm gonna tell you about two drops that are
Okay.
coming on, because this is gonna be the biggest drops in the world.
Dang.
So no, I'm joking. So with sound is
No, don't joke. This is legit, people. This is legit.
No, that's good. That's good.
Bro, I bought it.
he said, "Wow, oh my God, what is this one?" But with the sound with the sound drop, it's actually pretty cool. Like it's a cool story. I remember when sound first came around, and I wanted to get onto the platform, but it just didn't work out that way. And I continued to do what I was doing, and just building my community, and doing innovative stuff. And then they came around, I think last week, and they said, Harrison, we want to have you on the latest season. And I was like, oh, this is great. Let's do it. So the song that I actually have prepared for it is something that I did with a Stockholm-based artist too. Amazing Gambian. He's from Gambia, but he's also from Sweden, and his
Wow.
voice is just crazy. Like we have this song that we did together, and it's sampling like a Persian song, and it's just like super hard. Like it's a super hard record.
Mhm.
So with that song, I guess what I'm planning to do is just like additions of 40 at point 0.1 ETH. And, we're going to have fun with it. That one is just going to be, fun, continuously building. And I'm excited for that because, Sound does a great job in the space. But
Yeah.
the other one that I'm super, super excited about is a drop that I'm doing because I'm trying to do, it's called a PFM project, Profile Music Project.
Ah,
And what I want to do is pretty much have the same concept as a PFP project, but I wanted to think about how can music NFTs be scaled out to a larger scale, similar that to the way that graphic artists and 2D artists have able to do with like Bored Apes and things of the like. And I know there's been other artists who have been tapping into this, music artists been tapping into this, but this one I'm really, really excited about because what I'm going to be doing is 1,000 editions of one song, and each song is going to have a different production on it. So it'll be the same song, but a different instrumental production by 1,000 different
damn.
versions of one song. And I'm producing all 1,000 of the versions.
Holy
It's not going to
moly.
be generative music. It's not going to be like an AI app, automatically doing it. I'm going to do it manually. So that's
Oof.
going to be super fun. And when people mint, they're just going to be generated a random song, a random version of that one song, also with a unique cover art with it as well. And we're going to go and see
Wow.
how that works, man. See how it plays out.
Yeah, any of those going to be released on like Spotify or anything like that on DSPs,
Yeah,
or is it just
we're going to do it on DSP. So there's one main version that we all love that's going to be on DSPs, and then we're going to let the collectors do a vote on Snapshot, and see which other two versions that they want to have on Spotify
sick?
as well, so that they
So
can
cool.
have maybe their song that they collected on DSPs also.
No,
Damn.
that's great.
So
We talked to Lenny, who is the co-founder of Logcast, on one of our
Logcast.
previous episodes, and that sounds like a
mm,
really cool use case because basically on each profile, it's sort of similar to an app which lets you just kind of create audio. So different creators just kind of share their thoughts,
Like
and it
memos.
kind of makes a whole bunch of logs basically. And on those logs, as you go into someone's profile, you get this kind of audio, this little audio trailer which plays, which is kind of like an introduction for that person. So it
Yeah.
sounds like a really cool use case to kind of take that,
Mm.
take that unique PFM as you said, and
Yeah.
kind of import that as your audio trailer to kind of some of these platforms. And and if you've got multiple social media platforms that are kind of starting to use audio more, it seems like something where you could kind of take that idea. So I really love
Sure.
that idea. That's really cool. So talking about your first project, or like the dollar sign first. So basically, I was looking at the process of that of getting involved in that basically, and the process looks like, so you needed 1,000 first tokens to kind of grant you access originally. Then it looks like it goes to Mintgate, which is like a service which gets you through, allows you to connect your wallet through like a QR code. Then you verify, and then basically you get access to this catalog where you can actually use any of the collection of audio NFTs from your catalog that you've personally produced, and basically you can download anything from that collection and create your own audio NFTs. And then you just give credit for it, and it's kind of like a whole collection there that you've got um, of your kind of
mhm.
produced music. Is that the right process? Are the people allowed to use this, just samples of the sounds, or are they using the whole sound as their audio behind their NFT?
They're using the whole sound behind the audio of
Yeah.
their NFT. Like I've had a couple people, or a nice group of people who utilize the vault. So it's first audio,
Yeah.
and the whole concept was to just like give back to my community, people in the first community, and allow them to, like, if they don't make their own music and they want to have like that audio component to their NFTs, here you
Mhm.
go. Like you don't need to go out to any of these other Web2 platforms. I
Gotcha.
have a whole bunch of music that rappers or artists don't use. So I'm like, why not put it in a vault here, lock it up, with some, 1000 first, and you can use it as much as you want, put it in your NFTs. And they just, if they want to credit me, some people credit me. I don't police it so much,
Yeah.
but I don't take anything from them. They just do their thing with it, man. Just got to hold 1000 first tokens.
Gotcha. Okay. So it's sort of a bit more like a subscription model, kind of like you don't pay for it every time you use it. And
Mm-mm.
so is that a little bit like, is it called Beatstar that originally had a similar, maybe like that might have been like the Web 2 version of this, maybe? And
Hmm.
if that's the case, could these people also use it to like, I could put a beat and then put some lyrics on it and then release it on a DSP? Is there an issue with that in this sort of situation?
Yeah, there's an issue with that because this is
Okay,
only like, so first audio is only for the use of NFTs, audio NFTs.
gotcha,
So I
gotcha.
think I mentioned that on the website as well. Like the plan was, so I'm also published by Sony, and I was having a couple different talks with my director about, scaling this out because Sony now owns Beatstar, and how could we make first audio like the
Oh,
Web3 version of Beatstar?
oh, true.
So right now, yeah, right now it's in a pause, like V2 and V3, stage of first audio is at a pause, and right now it's like I look at it as a vault. It's just a
Mhm.
vault right now.
Okay.
So that's the concept of it is a vault, but we do want to scale it out to like a marketplace. And hopefully in the future, that is what I do.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Yeah, no, I like that idea.
Mhm.
That's really nice. So another thing that we saw that you were doing was some decentralized wearables in
Mm,
the first collection, which people can buy with Polygon, and you kind of go into the Decentraland, into the Metaverse area, and then you've also had like a concert which was like a decentralized concert. So could you talk about the relationship with Decentraland? How's that gone?
Man, it's amazing. No, it's
Oh,
amazing. It's
so
those are my
yeah.
guys. Like I love Decentraland. I love Decentraland. So the two metaverses that I was introduced to in the beginning was Decentraland and Crypto Voxels. I like
mm.
Crypto Voxels because you can use it on your. This is an old phone, man, but it is what it is. But people always point it out. But you can use Crypto Voxels on your phone. Like you can literally be in the metaverse via your phone, but the graphical component isn't as good. But Decentraland, I love the graphical component. So I really I think I partnered up with them like in 2019, and before it was just me, doing pre-recorded DJ sets, and they were
Mm,
streaming it into the metaverse or into
mhm,
Decentraland, and that was cool and everything. But I wanted to take it a step further. And as I was starting to get into, NFTs,
mm,
I was like, okay, if I can't do exhibitions in real life, let me try to do exhibitions or launch parties, in Decentraland. So that's what I would do. Like the day I was minting a piece, me and another artist that I would collaborate with, we would be in Decentraland's like official gallery, and we would do like the live auctions there, and take bids right there live, and as it was being displayed in Decentraland's art gallery, which was like super amazing. So we were doing that, and then they asked me to do like their first festival with like Paris Hilton, Dead Mouse, all those guys. It was really great.
wow.
I did that, and that was cool. I think it was like over 1,000 people, at one point, tuning in, to my set. And it's like I've been on tour before, but I never had like 1,000 people on me, like eyes on me at
Mhm,
once before. It was probably
mhm.
maybe a couple hundred, maybe
Yeah,
200. So it was
yeah,
like a cool experience, even though it wasn't like in real life. It still felt real, and like people were
yeah,
enjoying something at one time. So I was doing that, and then I was just thinking, what else could I do? Like I have a certain style about me. I have a certain brand, and I want other people to have that certain style in Decentraland. So I partnered up with a friend of mine, Obel, and really great, wearable designer. But we did something where I usually wear like a leather jacket, and I usually wear like these dad shoes. So I said, let's do something where we have like a Harrison First head. You know, let's do the leather jacket, and let's do the dad shoes. And we did that, and it's just like an extension of my brand, in the metaverse. And people walk around with my head on when I do like, when I'm performing in Decentraland. Some people still enjoy like the leather jacket wearing that. So
yeah.
it's like my way of expressing myself at somewhat of a lower cost. because some of these things can cost a lot to produce, in real life. But yeah, we're still working on more collections, and probably at the end of this year or next year, I'll do like another wearable drop.
That's so cool. In regards to, I guess, on that topic of metaverse, we've chatted to a few artists about this, about where they think it could go. I guess for you, what could you imagine the future metaverse situations could look like? Like, even, I know we talk a lot about concerts and stuff like that. You mentioned the festival, which is really cool. But even just everyday listening of maybe a collection that you own, like, and your interaction with other people. Like, could you paint a picture at all as to how you could imagine it looking in the future and how you'd maybe use
Mhm.
that?
Yeah, I'm a little bit biased, so I focus mostly on music. Like I look at it from like a
Mm,
musical aspect, and
mm,
for me, where I wanted to go, and maybe Roblox is doing this with Spotify already. I think something was announced a couple months ago. But for me, I wanted to feel, how like in a video game you're playing FIFA or Madden or NBA 2K, and you can choose the music that you're listening to as you're playing the
mm.
game, or when you're playing like Call of Duty and you're like really getting into it, and like the music is playing and you're interacting in the game. Like for me, I want it to be I see it where people can take their NFTs, their music NFTs that they own, and be able to stream that in the metaverse. So as they're at casino nights or as they're just walking around, now they can choose the soundtrack that they want to have, that they own, that's in their collection, or maybe in somebody else's collection, and kind of like walk around in Decentraland and mine for new tokens, be at events and just like have the music streaming at the same time,
Yeah.
as they're interacting. But I also look at like every single thing in the metaverse as an asset, hopefully.
Yep.
So you can interact with it. Everything that you see from the trees to obviously you can do it with the artwork. But just every single thing, what people are wearing, and you can place a bid on that, or you can have it, and like all these things like that, man.
Mm,
But I
mm.
haven't really tapped into it too much from the what is it, like the virtual side? Yeah, the
VR
VR
goggles.
stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't really
Virtual
tapped
reality.
into it that much, yeah, but
Neither.
yeah, yeah, it's a bit much, sometimes. So
That's true. And it makes me feel a little bit like motion sick as well, putting the goggles on,
yeah.
just personally.
Man,
We did use
yeah.
it for
Well,
that race car game though. Once we were at a
Yeah.
thing, Nathan and I, and we had like a race car game, and you could kind of look around and see the whole car and everything. So that was kind of cool. But no,
That
I
is
haven't
cool.
I haven't used it for a
uh,
Decentraland thing either. So one thing that I saw was that the project has its own treasury, which is a really cool thing to say. Um, and basically, it had like this allocated amount of 100,000 first to be on this Uniswap liquidity pool. So would swap first and ETH, and basically that would provide that liquidity there to so that people could kind of trade it freely, and basically there's a big pool so that if someone wants to buy and someone wants to sell, you actually have a market there that's already kind of made. So in terms of that, I saw that you could lock up in December last year. I also saw that in March there were kind of a few 90-day periods where you could lock in. Was that a good idea? Did the fans take to that, or would it have been better to do just like to do that and not let the fans participate, or did the community get around it and actually jump on board? How did it happen?
yeah, so when I started the social token, like it was in 2019, so when I started
Mm,
First, it's called First, and then the whole name is Harrison First. And when I got into it, I really didn't know much about anything Web3. Like that was my first introduction to anything
right.
Web3 was social token. So that was my entry point there. So by the time I got started, I think I was playing catch up every time, like every week,
Yeah.
every month, and I was trying to keep up with what the standard was of a social token.
Yeah.
So I think after about 6 months, we introduced a market to the first token, but I wasn't really involved in that process. I just knew it had a market and people can go on Uniswap and trade and purchase it in different exchanges were picking it up. It was on it's still on CoinGecko, it's on Zeron, and at the height of it, maybe around 2020 and the 2021, the price was 29 cents, which was so cool to me. I remember I was really hooked on pricing, and I really was like, it was really like a personal thing for me. Every time somebody swapped the token, I took it personally.
Well, it literally has your
Just it
name on
was
it,
a lot.
right?
Yeah,
It has my name on
Wait,
it, man.
right?
I thought it was like, man, they don't believe in me anymore. They don't like me, but and I was making some mistakes as well. But what happened was like once, and right now the price is like 0.0017. And I kind of like came at terms with like the focus of first token has two primary functions. But before I get to that, in regards to like that, I think that was it was a staking round that we were doing for
Mm,
90 days.
yeah.
And this is something that I wish I did earlier, because by the time I did this, it wasn't too many people who got involved in that staking round. It
Yeah.
was like a perfect concept. It was really good, but my community wasn't too interested in it right now, right? Bro, I've done it where we were doing things manually, like in 2019, where I had when people would um, stake their tokens. I would have to make sure that manually each month I would give them first rewards for staking. So by the time we did that staking, the staking tool, that was automated, but some
Yeah.
of my community has already been like in the manual stage. So it was successful in regards to like implementing it, but it wasn't too many people who were involved in it. Um, so right now, like I think I'll focus on pricing maybe like next year, but right now the main focus is those two things. Like we use it for like voting in the DAO. So if there's like proposals that I make, they can go on Snapshot and they can vote. Or if some people want to make their own proposals, they have to have X amount of first, and then they can do that, and people can vote, and it's all weighted, based off the amount of first that you hold. And then the other function is first audio. So
Mm,
so those two are the main functions. So 1,000 first you need to have to enter first audio, and then you just need to have any amount of first to vote or make proposals in the DAO. But I think I'm gonna get back to staking because I created my token on Roll. Like I don't know if you guys are familiar with them, but
yeah.
um, so I started with them 2019 in regards to
Cool.
creating a token for myself, and then I joined on probably 4 months ago,
Yeah.
and they have some really really great innovations around. Um, Staking and this new
Yeah.
concept called membership. So I'm probably going to utilize that tool because obviously since I'll be speaking about it to other creators, I want to be able to utilize it as well. But
Yeah.
that's the long story to the question. Yeah,
That's great.
No, that's really cool. I
That's
I
so
really
cool.
like to hear about the
yeah,
kind of how what people think of the technicals, and obviously you take it personally, especially when it's the first time doing like putting your name on this thing and people can buy and sell it.
Yeah.
Of course there's going to be like,
Yeah.
some learning about how to, managing the emotions about the people investing in it or selling it or whatever. Um
hmm
and obviously people are
Yeah.
just going to do whatever and buy this and sell
exactly.
that and rebalance their crypto portfolio all the time. So one thing that I wanted to know,
People are
you're
not
doing that
rational.
whole.
People
Yeah,
are rational, and then
exactly,
the
yeah,
bots,
exactly.
the bots, man,
Oh, the bots.
Oh, yeah,
fucking
yeah,
bots.
yeah. Yeah. So
So true.
with doing that project and doing a whole music career, producing the music that goes on your first audio, and managing the DAO, managing the social token, all that stuff. Do you have what does a team look like to support all of this? What do you mainly focus on, and who do you have around you to kind of do this, or is it all just you? Are you just managing everything?
It's mostly all just me, and
Wow.
I have different people that I
Oh wow.
partner with. Like there's people in my Discord who are my moderators,
Yeah.
and admins. So they kind of help with sometimes when I need to do my daily, first distribution each month,
Yeah.
and just making sure that I am sending out the amount of first tokens correct to the community. And then my music projects, it's me, and I always partner up with different collaborators for certain songs. But it's all me, and I think that's why
No,
I'm
that's
still
impressive.
kind of like in this specific. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's cool, but in order for me to get bigger, I will need to add more people because I've seen, other communities where they do add more people, it gets bigger and it gets larger.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, my main focus is always going to be music. Like that's always the main focus for everything, because it fuels everything that I'm doing.
Yeah.
So I always have to make sure I have that at the forefront of what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's really cool. On the topic of your community, just maybe a question about the DAO. So you mentioned Snapshot, and so Snapshot, I actually found out, had a little look earlier today. It's the first time I'd seen it. Obviously, there's some big projects on there. We're talking Aave, even Uniswap, Decentraland, all use that platform. Could you, for those who are unaware, could you just sort
Mhm.
of explain how you use it and what service it provides you and the DAO and the community and stuff like that?
You just use it for voting.
Yep.
It's mostly, used for a voting system. So, I'll use like Decentraland for example. Like when I think when the market was extremely like bullish, the price of mana was like really high. And I think, in order to mint and create a wearable collection, you have to have, 500 mana. And that was like, maybe around 2000, 2500 USD at the time when it was like a
Mm.
really bullish market. And then they put in a vote, a proposal in the DAO. Should we lower the fee, that we usually take to create a wearable collection? And then everybody just votes on there based off of how many mana they have, weights your vote. So that's like this. That's pretty much the same thing that we do with first on snapshot.
Gotcha.
So I think it's tiered. Like if you, I think it might be like if you have to
Yeah.
have 10,000 first tokens in order to make a proposal. If you don't have
Yes.
10,000 first tokens, you can't make a proposal in the first DAO.
Okay.
But obviously, if you have at least one first token, you can vote in the first DAO.
Ah. Okay.
So like one example that I did, because I remember I was torn between like my NFT projects. I remember one time I was like, if I have this song on Spotify, you will not see it as a NFT project. And then I used to say like, if it's an NFT project, this won't go on Spotify because I thought if I separated the two, it will give the music just more unique value.
Yep.
But then, as time goes on, things change, ideas change. And then I put that as a proposal in, my DAO on Snapshot. Literally, I wrote it up. I said, would you like to see, music that I mint as an NFT also on Spotify, or would you not want to see that? And people voted, and they spoke, and they said we want to see. It's cool if it's on Spotify and also an
Huh.
NFT. And it kind of like opened my mind, and if my community wants that, and they're also collectors, then I'll do that.
That's so cool. So I noticed, I think some of your stats on the main page about the token. I think you said there was like 300 holders or something, maybe a bit more. You could totally
Mm,
clarify of the token. But then on Snapshot, there was a smaller number of people in that DAO. Is that because people
mhm.
need to physically go and sort of put themselves within that DAO, even though they could be, they're applicable and eligible because they own the token. They just haven't gone and done it.
Exactly, exactly. So I think it's
Okay.
around 400 token holders right now, but you have to actually like go into Snapshot and log in to
Yep.
make yourself a voter.
Gotcha. Cool. And so, just one question as we wrap up, and maybe this is like bringing it back to maybe even the start, which I think is kind of fun. SoundCloud, I think, is something you used early on. I don't know if you're still active on SoundCloud. It's a lot of musicians. It's really like a musician to musician platform, or people who are definitely like keen on music, because there's some terrible music on SoundCloud and there's some phenomenal music on SoundCloud. I guess my question was, I noticed that there was a project that you were a part of that was headed up by Pharrell Williams' company, and
I am
um,
other. Mhm,
yeah, I'm other. That's right. That's right.
mhm.
And could you talk a little bit about what that project was and how you came to be involved with it?
Yeah, yeah. That's it. I mean, obviously, I think a lot of musicians we were on SoundCloud like
Mm,
before, during those weird times in streaming. And I like SoundCloud.
mm,
Like the platforms that show me love, I show them love. Like I've been invited to, Spotify's office in Stockholm. I've been able to go to the SoundCloud office in Berlin, like the headquarters there, and they just showed me like immense amount of love. And I really loved the team there at the time. Right now, some people left, so I don't know, man. But other the way that came about was they they pretty much wanted to they were reaching out to certain artists in regards to mostly like black and minority artists who can
yeah,
speak to a particular point, and especially what was going on in 2020, 2021 with a lot of police brutality and things of that nature. And I said, yeah, I would love to be a part of this because it's important.
mm,
I don't think I've really been like attached to things that are culturally important. So I said, this is a time where maybe I could talk about this in the future with my kids. So I love that project. It's like a compilation between myself and other artists, and Pharrell. It was pretty much under Pharrell Williams' brand, I Am Other. So that was a cool experience. And we had like a virtual meetup with all the artists, and we got to talk to
oh, cool.
SoundCloud about the project, our vision about it.
Yeah,
Pharrell Williams A&R was on the call,
yeah,
and I think the I Am Other brand also advertised. So it was a dope experience to do that, man.
that's really cool.
basically we've found out that you do festivals on Decentraland. You've got a new
Yep.
concept there, PFMs. You've got some really great stuff going on. You got First Token, Social Token. Check it out.
Come on, what
We've
else? What
also
else?
got First Audio. That's
There it
sick.
is. Yeah.
Jump on a
Yeah.
grab
What
some
about the
of that
drops that are
music
going
for
to
your
change the world? What about
NFT.
the drops that are going to
Oh,
change the world, Ivan?
XYZ, sound.xyz. Is that it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
what else? We got your Twitter. How can people find you? What are you most excited about? Giving the fans. Where do you want people to go?
Man, what am I most excited about? If you type in Harrison First anywhere, usually you'll find me. I keep it simple, Harrison First. I usually get back to everybody on Instagram or Twitter DMs, but
Mhm.
I'm just excited for all these projects that I have coming up. Like, just stay in tune. Like,
Yeah,
I'm just trying to innovate. I'm trying to innovate, guys.
you've been nothing but absolutely awesome. So thank you so much for coming on. This chat has been so fun. Hopefully you've enjoyed it a little bit. Hopefully maybe you'll come back in 6 or 12 months and tell us what you've been doing. Maybe
Yeah, man.
crypto will be flying again by then, and you won't have time for us. I don't know. We'll see.
Nah, man. I always have time. I always have time.
Bro, thank you so much.
Lovely.
Thanks, guys. Peace.